Hey, this is Bill Elgin from Elgin Web Design Reviews. You can find me at billelgin.com if you need a custom website designed for your business, or you can send me an email to reviews@billelgin.com if you'd like your current website reviewed and featured here free. Today I'm going to be reviewing designresearchoptics.com. As I've said before, there's no such thing as a perfect website. My goal is to point out areas that can be improved to help everyone design better websites. Even the owner of this website should find this information very valuable, maybe even more so than anyone else. So let's get started. Right off the bat, there's a very serious problem. As you can see up here, it says not secure, but the bigger problem is the domain name itself is not configured correctly. That's why we're getting the error message in the center here. Basically, when somebody goes to a domain name, they should be able to just type in the domainname.com and it should automatically forward to the secure server. And if they didn't include www. In front of the domain name, it should automatically add that as well. The last thing that you want to have happen is what's happening here, where if they don't enter in the domain name exactly right, they'll get a website that looks like this, where it's not being displayed at all. This is a critical error that should be fixed immediately. For most companies, their logo is very important, and rightfully so. It represents what they do, it represents who they are. In this case, there are two logos. There's one in the upper left-hand corner here, and there's one right here. Now, the one in the left-hand corner, it just looks like it was copied and pasted, and that's what causes this white frame around it. And that doesn't look very good at all. The one in this animation, it's even worse. It's being distorted and squeezed together. Both are red flags, and it shouldn't be allowed either by the owner of the website or by the designer that created it. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of this website. We can look at the navigation right here. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm not a big fan of all caps, so that's not good. This up here, I would not put this here. It doesn't belong here. The cart is okay. I would put that down in the cart itself. My account, that's okay. Maybe lower that here, but as you can see, the spacing everywhere is not uniform and really doesn't look professional. Going down here on the left side, the navigation, that's not so bad. It's differentiated here and the subcategories are okay. That doesn't look too bad. This area right here, this is called a carousel. And these are bad. I really wish people would stop using these. I can show you a long list of articles that talk about how bad these are. People don't view them. They take lots of time to download. The images can't be optimized. There's just so many problems with it. And when people see it, they actually have a negative response to it. They basically look at these as spam. And in this case, the images here, this one showing the product, it's extremely low resolution. And it's such a mistake to do that with your product right here at the top. This should be a very important image, and it should be high quality, and it shouldn't be in an animation. Okay, so looking down here, we jump into the shopping cart. It doesn't really make sense. There's no really explanation how you're in it right away. Some of these images, you can see they go all the way to the edge, other ones don't. It's these little inconsistencies that will make a website look unprofessional. Spacing's odd. See the spacings here? Spacing between these doesn't, not used very well. There's lots of white space down here. Then when we get to the footer, it just, again, spacing's a problem. There's all this wasted space everywhere. It just doesn't look good. It's these small details, the attention to detail, that makes the difference. And in this case, it's not working. Let's take a quick look at the source code. I have to admit, I thought this was going to be a lot worse. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, for one thing. I was expecting this to be a WordPress website, and it's not. A WordPress website might have 5,000 lines of code, even for a simple page like this. This one only has about 750 or so lines of code. So, yeah, 731. So that's not too bad. There's some things in here that I confused me a little bit. This is a Google Site Verification. I've never seen this done like that. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I haven't seen it, and that always makes me a little bit nervous because I've seen a lot out there. I've been doing this a long time. This, I understand, this is typically how Google verifies your website, so I get this. This website is still being backwards compatible to Internet Explorer, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but even Microsoft doesn't support Internet Explorer anymore, and at some point you got to pull the trigger and not do it, because when you're supporting Internet Explorer, you have to add all this extra code. So, and I don't. I've given up on supporting Internet Explorer, and I just support their modern browser. One thing that's a problem when I look through here is all their links are absolute links instead of relative links, and that's a little bit technical, and it really doesn't stop the website from working, but it's typically not what a professional does, and it can cause some problems later on that you don't expect. From a search engine standpoint, there's other issues. In the keywords, this is elementary mistake. You're not supposed to duplicate any word. So if you have lens here, you can't have it anywhere else in your keywords, and you can see it's here and it's here. Plural, that's okay, but you can see there's a lot of words that are duplicated here, and these special characters right there, I wouldn't include those. It's just noise. It's what we call noise in the search engine world, and a single letter L, that may be important, but as far as a keyword, it's not important. Now, fortunately, Google says they don't look at these anymore, but I don't believe them, and you just want to do it right anyway. And when I see mistakes like this, an elementary mistake, I'm always worried about there being mistakes all throughout the website. Another problem, this is a bigger problem, this is the meta description, and Google indeed looks at the meta description. You can see that it just ends. So it goes on here and says end thin, and then that's it. So this gets displayed in a lot of places, and so you don't want this just to end like that. We'll look down here. This is another problem where it has all these style sheets. It's connecting to, what is this, 5, 6 style sheets. It shouldn't do that. It should connect to one or two tops. The JavaScript, these scripts that are in the header, shouldn't happen. Generally, you want to put scripts in the footer. There's exceptions to that, but I don't think these are those exceptions. I'd have to look closer at what these are for, but I doubt that these are the exceptions. Then we'll go down here again. I mentioned there's a lot of places where they're using absolute links, like right here, instead of using relative links, and that always concerns me. The rest of it, like I said, I thought it was going to be a lot worse, and it's pretty straightforward, and it's not too long, and it actually loads quickly. I did some tests to see how quickly this website loads, and it loads pretty quickly, so that part's okay. Okay, anytime I build a website or anytime I test a website, I go into Chrome DevTools. If you're not familiar with Chrome DevTools, you should be. Even if you're just a website owner, you should be familiar with Chrome DevTools so you can test your own website and see how it looks. So I won't go into it here. It's beyond the scope of this video to explain Chrome DevTools, but you should look it up, look into it. So there's a few things that are pretty cool about it. Over here it shows us some details about the website, performance, accessibility, best practices, SEO. You have to understand how these work. Like it says SEO is 99, when really that's can be deceiving. So you can have one picture on a website and then you can name the alt text correctly and it'll say, oh, that's 100%. That doesn't mean the website was properly optimized for SEO, but it gives you use all these for just a baseline to look for errors that you may not have seen, okay? Because it gives you all kinds of details down throughout this to tell you how to fix some of the problems that you may run into. Now, back to the website. One of the problems that I kept running into when I was looking at this is the spacing. And as you get into smaller widths, cell phones, iPads, the space becomes very valuable, and so you have to use it efficiently. And what we'll do here is the first thing I always do is start moving the website in just to see how it responds. And you can see this jumps, and already it's leaving a big space around here. We're at 936 on width. So, an iPad could be that. You don't want to be wasting this space, and we'll keep moving in and see what it does. You can see now it's going all the way to the edge. So now it's starting to look different than it looked before. And there's no reason for that either. You want it to be consistent, the design to be consistent all the way through whatever width the person's using to view your website. Okay, so right there is when it gets rid of its primary nav bar. You can see it disappear, which is fine. And then it goes to the hamburger, and you can see this is okay. I like how this pushes everything down so the website's still functional. The visitor can actually hit the nav bar over here and then scroll down, and if they decide that they just want to keep going and read whatever's in this category, they don't need to go all the way back to the top to hit that again. Okay, now if we scroll down, you can see there's problems again. This isn't lining up inside the box. This one's not lining up here. It's, there's a lot of inconsistencies going through here. Now, throughout the different sizes, they started using these down arrows. I don't even know what this one's for, actually. I can show you on some of the other ones. I don't know what this is for. So there's something wrong there. So we'll move on. So we'll go closer and you start moving into smaller devices. You're getting into phones right here. Again, now you got space here, which is, I'd be okay with this if it were on all the different sizes, but it's not. It's randomly added space going around the outside of this, and that's a problem. You can see these aren't they're lining up differently actually than they were before. And here's where the arrows are. Now I don't get this. You hit these arrows and then it shows you hours, or it shows you email or phone numbers. There's no reason for there to be arrows. This is the footer. This should have all the information displayed all the time. So there's no reason to do that. Now if we move in a little more, actually this is 320 width. This is the smallest size that you need to deal with. So there will be people that look at your website at this width. And so it has to look good. And if we click on some of the products, actually this looks pretty good. This looks good. Okay, so let's go back on that. This, we have spacing issues again. We have white space where there shouldn't be. There's big space here. You see all that. Now, we're going to go up here and pull down you can look at all these different devices. That's why Chrome DevTools is so great. So you can look at it at an iPad mini and see what it looks like. So this is what people are viewing on the iPad mini. Again, it just isn't laid out very well, and it changes on all the different devices, as you'll see. So let's go to Nexus 5. Okay, you can see how that looks. There's some spacing issues like before. Let's go to iPhone 5 SE, which is the 320 pixels wide. So I always look at it on this one. Now the one that is most popular width that will be viewing your website is 375. So look at it on this, and it doesn't look too bad. Again, there's some of the problems with the framing, but it doesn't look horrible. So we can see that. And let's look at it on an iPad. This is a regular size iPad, which is kind of like the mini. Actually, again, we have the footer things going on here. Look at the iPad Pro, and the iPad Pro, you see, goes away from the mobile device nav bar that's on the right, that's fine. The iPad Pro is high resolution, so that's why it goes back to this layout. So the good news is it's responsive. So if it wasn't responsive, then that would be a very big critical problem. But it is responsive, and that's certainly the first thing that you want to make sure of. Okay, so in summary, the biggest problem I think this website has going is it doesn't look very professional. It looks like it was just pieced together. There aren't any interesting elements throughout the website from a design point of view, and there's a lot of inconsistencies that make it look unprofessional. At the very least, the person that designed it didn't have a lot of attention to detail. And I think if improvements were made with all that in mind, I think it'd have a very positive impact on sales. There's no such thing as a perfect website, but hopefully the owner of this website has gathered some valuable information to make their website better. And hopefully everybody else that viewed this video got a few ideas themselves to make their own websites better.